This is Saturday Morning Mysteries.
And we're your hosts, Alexis and Grace. Hello, everyone, and welcome back for yet another Saturday Morning Mysteries, where we are your hosts. I'm Alexis.
I'm Grace.
And we are still celebrating the wonderful month of December and all the joy and holiday cheer that comes with it. If you've been sticking around with us for the past couple of weeks, we have been doing reviewing or covering, talking about episodes of classic animated shows, but flipping it, reversing it, and making the episodes only winter-themed episodes. So far, we talked a little bit about Courage. We had the revival of an old anti-hero, essentially, in the first weekend of December. Last week, we talked about kind of a new show, but not really, Scooby-Doo and Scrappy-Doo, where they had to confront essentially the abominable snowman. And today, Grace is back up on deck with week 3, episode 3 of our Christmas holiday, winter holiday arc.
Yes.
So take it on away for us.
Thank you. So first, I'm going to tell you about how I came to today's episode choice and why I picked it. Because it's a show that actually usually doesn't fit into our crime show category. Kind of similar to how in our Halloween arc you did Hey Arnold. You happen to have an episode in a series that was relevant. So first, I obviously just Wikipedia'd Christmas cartoon episodes. And actually, it was the very first show and very first episode listed. And I didn't think too much about it because the name of the episode sounded interesting. And because though the show came out in 1997, I'd actually never seen the show, but it was a show that was like a spin-off of a movie.
Okay.
Yes. And I knew that I would do it as soon as I realized that this movie had a spin-off show, because, why I hadn't seen the show, I'd seen the movie. And when I say I had seen the movie, what I really mean is this movie during my childhood was my entire fucking life.
Oh, shit.
Because the movie that the show was a spin-off of was 101 Dalmatians.
Wow.
Which they turned into a TV show in the late 90s. And I'm sure there's been other iterations.
Probably, but wow. Whoa. Okay.
Yes.
Boom. Left field. I'm surprised.
Bam. Smacked with another
Smacked me in the face. Yes. Oh my God. My other eye. My face.
Yes. So yes, in the late 90s, there was an animated spin-off show of 101 Dalmatians of the same name, which is why it was listed first, because it was just 101 on this list. Yeah, it's
in alphabetical order
by TV show. So yes, this TV show followed the adventures of these little cute, adorable Dalmatian pups and their families after the movie took place. And of course, that was enough to sell me because, like I said, that movie was my entire life. It built the personality that I still have to this day and my love of dogs.
Yes.
Et cetera, et cetera. I won't get into it, but that explains everything about me as a human being, as an adult, and my deep love of dogs. So
awesome.
Yes. But like I said, this usually is not a crime show. And I say usually because this is a very special Christmas episode that not only had a singular focus on the villain of the 101 Dalmatians canon, Cruella de Vil, but this episode focused on Cruella de Vil in one of the best Christmas ways possible as a spin-off of Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Oh, where is Pumpkin Patch Pat?
Pumpkin Patch Pat. I have a thought on how Pumpkin Patch Pat appears in this episode.
Okay. Oh my God, I can't wait to hear it. Okay.
I'll have it. I'll make a note.
Okay, try it. If you remember to weave it in, I hope so. Otherwise, we'll talk about it later. Okay, good.
So yes, today's episode, I will say we won't be focusing on a individual specific crime, although crime will come into it. But we are indeed going to go into a deep, deep dive into the ultimate villain, Cruella de Vil, doing a deep psychological look and breakdown at one of the worst criminals ever, or so I thought as a child, because she wanted to hurt puppies. So
yeah. I mean, I think that still makes her one of the worst Disney villains literally ever.
Agreed.
It's like even anyway.
Yeah. So before we begin, a couple of things. One, while I loved this episode, I do want to note that the world's greatest remake of A Christmas Carol is still to this day The Muppets Christmas Carol. But it's not like technically animated, so I couldn't cover it, but I needed to establish that as fact. Next, I realized there was a recent Cruella de Vil live action film with Emma Stone. Mm-hmm. I haven't seen it, and so I'm going to ignore whatever that added to the canon since this came out, because this episode came out first. I'm going to consider this her true story. I also, a couple more things here, have to admit something incredibly embarrassing that I guess I never typed out the name Cruella de Vil before, and only when I was typing it out for this episode, I did finally, after basically 30 years on this earth, realize that her last name is just Devil. De Vil. Nice. Devil, yeah. I know. I promise I'm smart, everyone. I just had to.
Yeah, okay.
You know, it feels like I need to be vulnerable with the audience and tell them
that's fair. Yeah.
It took me this long and this loving of this franchise for me to ever realize that.
Possible that other people are learning something today too.
It's not. They don't know.
It is.
Everyone fucking knows. Okay. Thank you, though. Anyways,
you don't just go around writing Cruella de Vil's name everywhere. Why would people just know these things?
Come on.
Everywhere.
So, yes. Next, a fun voice actor side note of this episode is that, or I guess in this iteration of this like spin-off show, includes Susan Blakesley as Cruella. She's Wanda from the Fairly Odd Parents.
I was like, I recognize that name.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Cool. Jeff Bennett, who plays Roger, who's like the husband of like the main family, who is also Johnny Bravo. So,
wow,
they were voice actor note.
Poaching all off of a Cartoon Network and whatnot.
Exactly.
Well, I guess Nickelodeon, but yeah.
And last, I know like the big like late 90s names got in on this show, so it's a great show. Yeah. Lastly, there are a number of crimes that take place in the background of this episode. But like I said, we're here to mainly examine this criminal. And dare I say it, this episode was hilarious. And like on purpose, the writers gave just like a lot of one-liners that were clearly nods to like the adults having to watch the show. And I'll quote a couple in here because they were just very funny.
Is this on Disney Plus now? Or did you watch it somewhere else?
I think I watched this on YouTube. So,
okay, cool.
Just
wondering where I would assume go to watch it. It probably is. Yeah,
because it's
maybe
101 Dalmatians Disney movie. So
if you're listening, go there to watch it.
Yes, on Disney Plus.
Yes, and the place where it's legally
available,
watchable.
Yes.
This is your message from law-abiding citizens.
Always. So this is season 1, episode 19 of 101 Dalmatians, entitled A Christmas Cruella. And we open on Christmas Eve.
Okay.
But instead of doing the last minute wrapping or making cookies for Santa, Anita, who is like the wife / main, like is like the mom, main human of 101 Dalmatians, one of the main humans, is still at work. And specifically, Anita is working at the House de Vil offices, which is a high-end fashion brand ran by, you guessed it, Cruella. And Anita is like a designer for her there, a fashion designer. And we see in like the offices of House de Vil, that one, like everyone is still at work. No one is home for the holidays. And we see that there is a Christmas tree in the lobby. So there is some like acknowledgement that it's Christmas and Christmas spirit. Cruella's henchmen, Horace and Jasper, are decorating the tree. And I also only mention this because it's like a very like modern metal and like chromatic tree that's like flipped upside down. And my only thought, and this is the only reason I really and I guess it comes up soon in the plot, but My only thought was like, this is a very Melania style Christmas tree.
Yeah. Like spray painting all the flowers black and like,
yeah.
Like the tree upside down. Yeah.
I just had to mention it.
It's avant-garde. You don't understand it.
Yes. So
high fashion.
In the first moment of hilarity, as we're painting through the offices, we see Cruella truly just prancing through the offices in like a Christmas tree dress. She is on cloud 9.
Her dress can actually look like a Christmas tree, but the Christmas tree cannot.
It's ironic. That's how it's avant-garde. It's ironic when she wears it. Yes. So, she is just so happy that all of her employees are still working. And she's like frolicking through the employees' dresses. And here are some of the banger quotes. That one, literally there's someone like on like a drum, like slave labor style. And Cruella is going, work, toil, slave, labor, produce. As she like frolics through the offices and like to the beat of the drum. Very terrifying.
Well, this is also why our generation is so pro-union.
I know. This 1997, we
saw that shit. Like, we were like, oh, hell no. We will never be allowed to be treated this way.
And then she's like overlooking her like minions. She goes, oh, how I love Christmas. Such a joyous celebration of capitalism. So again,
I feel like this episode was made for us, Grace. It was like made for this podcast.
I was like, I
knew
in
1997
as a child.
Yeah,
just stored in the vaults. And then another banger line of like, and like Horace or Jasper or someone else like makes some comment of like, no one is shopping still, like it's Christmas Eve. She goes, oh no, there's always 1 or 2 last minute shoppers to gouge. So
Jesus.
Yes.
So on the nose.
Yep. So on the nose evil and really telling us how it is on Christmas. So eventually she makes it to Anita's office with some further orders. But right as she does, Roger, who's Anita's husband, Anita and Roger, the owners of Pongo and Perdita, who are like the main dogs, which I did have life-size stuffed animals of them as a child. It's fine.
God, life-size
of Pongo and Perdita. Yes, not of the humans.
I mean, life-size Dalmatians. That would be hilarious. First off, if they were also like pillows or stuffed animals too.
They were stuffed animals, yeah.
But I mean, Dalmatians are huge. So even having like it's like you're a little kid that's still like over your head.
They were. I loved them so much. Anyways, I really loved this movie. So Roger comes in and he's holding one of their puppies, Lucky. He had been in the city because Lucky had to go to a vet appointment. And Anita is just so happy to see them, goes and embraces Roger and pets Lucky. And Roger explains that Lucky indeed hurt his paw real bad. Lucky's doing so-so. He probably needs to get some surgery, but like, it's okay. It wasn't as bad as they thought. They can take care of it. And like, because I was already in the city, I came to pick you up from work and let's go home to celebrate Christmas. Yeah. Cruella, though, is pissed off at the idea that Anita would go home for Christmas and says, next thing you know, you'll want to be not working tomorrow on Christmas Day. And Roger,
oh God,
ever the great husband, stands up for Anita and is like, this is the holidays. She is coming home to spend time with her family. And so Cruella on the spot, which this might be the first crime. I don't know labor laws, but, related to like workers' rights and compensations. There could be a lawsuit in the works here. Cruella says, fine, you can hang up your stocking and stuff it then, and fires Anita.
Oh.
On the spot.
Damn. Yeah. That's a little ambiguous, though. Was she really fired, or did she really, truly just want her to hang up a stocking and stuff it?
She does say, like, you are being downsized. And he goes, what, you're firing me? And she's like, yeah, get out. So,
okay, damn.
Yes. Yeah, cool. Yeah.
Okay.
They make it known.
Clarified.
So,
yeah.
So Roger and Anita and little puppy Lucky leave, and Cruella is just storming through the offices, livid that Anita wanted to go home. And she basically is worried that all the other employees are gonna want to go home now too on Christmas Eve. And she's shouting that, like, what? Do only Santa and elves work on Christmas Eve? So as she's storming out the office, she enters the main lobby where, again, Horace and Jasper were decorating the tree. In her rage and in their classic incompetency, she doesn't see all of the wires stretched across the lobby, hanging up the tree lights, and she trips over them, making this metal tree tumble down, and one of the branches smacks her in the back of the head.
The checkoff done. Why explain to us that there's a metal tree if it will not come into use?
Unless it's going to come back.
Yes.
Oh, and it did quickly. It wasn't even the third act. It came back.
It came immediately.
Baby. Yes. Yeah. So because everyone hates her, no one helps her up. And they actually all, every employee takes the opportunity to go home while she's passed out on the floor.
Good for them.
Yeah. They were like, thank God, let's go. They're all very quietly walking around the tree so they don't wake her up. Like
you see someone up above actually help maybe nudge the tree over a little bit. But did it work? Did it land on her? Are we free? Freedom.
So yes, eventually she just shake awake from being knocked out. Again, seeing that everybody, including Horace and Jasper, have left, and she is obviously pissed. And she storms home, taking her anger out on everyone who gets in her path. There's one of those Salvation Army, Santa is ringing the bell with a collection box. Yeah. She takes money from the collection box.
There's the outfit. She's probably wearing an outfit that costs more money than that Santa has even collected today.
1,000%. She also has changed into a dress now. She's fuck Christmas. Of course. Yeah, and a fur coat, a green fur coat. There's an unhoused person on her property that she yells to get the fuck off my property. And then she also says he has a plaid blanket and it's cold. It's clearly hot. It's snowing. And she goes, nobody wears plaid anymore. Which I'm going to briefly pause. We should talk about at the end. Is this what has happened to Pumpkin Patch Pat due to the traumas of his life? He's just tumbled into potentially being unhoused now. We'll come back to it at the end and speculate what happened.
Okay. All right. I'll try to internalize.
There's a group of carolers who she yells at, and then she gets in her car and just rage plows through some snowman. Some may say
God, I thought you were going to say the carolers.
I was holy shit, Disney. That may come up later. Oh, we might say she's being a real Scrooge about Christmas now.
Oh, now I see how it's based on that, on the Christmas Carol. Wow.
So back at home, in this enormous, creepy Victorian-style mansion, she gets ready for bed. And as a side note, in this series, she has a pet ferret. I don't know why. It probably comes up in this TV show, but it was weird to give her a furry pet because she wants to skin all animals. Anyways, she gets ready for bed, and suddenly Horace and Jasper appear in her bedroom, but they're white and translucent and covered in heavy chains because they are indeed, as you guessed it, ghosts, which we obviously are confirming here that this is Christmas Carol territory. We have fully entered.
I was waiting to see who the ghosts would end up being. I was who in her life would be her compass? Okay, cool.
So
her stooges, her henchmen.
Yes, with her stooges, Horace and Jasper, telling her that unless she changes her greedy ways, bad things are going to happen to her, and that there will be 3 more ghosts that visit her this evening to really drive that point home. Cruella shakes her head, muttering that she must be hallucinating. She clearly must have a concussion because that tree hit her in the head. This is some paranormal phenomenon, hallucinating shit. She just tucks right into bed, just being okay, I need to sleep. I need to sleep off this concussion.
That's what the doctors say, right? Yeah.
Yes. So she is suddenly awoken, though, as her windows fly open and wind and snow swirls into the room, followed by a little glowing Christmas Dalmatian puppy who's wearing a Santa hat. So basically it's going to be all the puppies who are the ghosts.
Oh, that would be terrifying, actually. Like 100 different ghosts just keep
puppies.
Yeah.
Yes. And this puppy announces that she is the ghost of Christmas past and will be taking Cruella on a journey through the defining moments that led her to where she is today. Cruella at first resists, but the puppy of past is obviously a supernatural ghost. So she sweeps her up and takes Cruella into the past. She's like, yeah, let's go. This is a real sassy puppy, and I loved it.
Nice.
So we start by entering a snowy street and zoom in onto the window of like this huge house in, I presume, New York or London or something, where there's a little baby, I don't know, like 16-month-old baby Cruella, and it's Christmas. She's got like a little jumper on. She's clearly a little toddler still. She's got like these big giant eyes. In modern day, Cruella awes at herself, being like, oh, how cute was I? And puppy past goes, sure, in a dysfunctional sort of way.
Damn.
And she's right, because this baby with like these big yellow eyes is being handed a present from a Russian nanny who is reading baby Cruella a note that came with the present, which says, having a fabulous holiday and vacation, sincerely your parents, Mr. and Mrs. DeVille. So her parents are clearly not there. And baby Cruella, though, doesn't give a shit. She is shaking the present, being like, puppy, puppy, puppy.
Shaking it.
If there's a live animal in something, don't shake it.
It will not be alive much longer.
Yes, but not to worry for those of us who knew you shouldn't shake live animals, because she opens it up, and instead of a puppy, it's like this little baby designer dress, which infuriates baby Cruella and rips the dress in half, throwing a tantrum. And modern Cruella is like, that was such a cute dress. Why was I so upset? I want clothes, not puppies. And for a moment, I will say, while watching this, I was like, wow, Cruella's parents like clearly were not there for her. She was raised by this nanny. So, okay, maybe some like unloved trauma, which maybe this will be the case that we build. But I want to ask the eternal like true crime question of nature versus nurture. And I ask this here because little Cruella is so little and young. And yes, is clearly kind of abandoned, not loved by her parents, is raised by this random ass nanny who just lives like, here's a letter and a present, whatever. And so maybe like nurture created evil Cruella. But as soon as she's left alone by the nanny who like brings her up into her room, a literal baby is still seething, and her eyes turn like a terrifying red. And we see her pick up the phone. And in the next scene, we see the nanny being carted away in a box as she's like yelling to be like let out. And little Cruella is just in the window laughing, saying next time she better get a puppy with spots. So like, did she get carted away by like immigration services?
Yeah,
by like
but in a
the
box?
mafia? She gets this nanny removed.
Removed is all we have.
Yes.
This is the only way we can describe this. When you say a box,
like a cardboard box.
A cardboard
and the nanny,
box.
like you hear the nanny yelling, this is cruel and unusual punishment. Like trying to bang to get out.
Oh,
and it's
shit.
like,
yeah, man, she fucking called ice on her ass. Immigrations and customs enforcement was there with the quickness. Like, so foreigner, you say, let us take her.
Pretty dark. So again, nature versus nurture. Again, another crime that was definitely committed in front of our eyes by this 16-month-old baby.
Yeah, some people just are born with evil in their hearts. No matter how much nurturing or nature gets in the way.
Sometimes you just be evil.
It just happens.
So, watching this has no impact on modern day Cruella. So Puppy Past brings her about 10 years further to another Christmas. And this time, a British nanny is handing preteen Cruella a gift.
What parents learn. They're like, okay, no more foreign nannies.
Nope. I guess we don't know. I guess they are British.
I forget. I remember one of the movies was in London, I thought. So I just didn't know if it took place there or not. But I don't remember her having a British accent either. So
yeah. It's big.
Do Brits even get deported from America though? No,
Yeah.
probably not.
Maybe she grew up in New York in the big city fashion. I don't know. She moved around.
Anyway.
Perhaps many different places.
Yeah.
Anyways, this British nanny's postcard says, "Dear occupant, having a wowie time in Maui. Merry Christmas from your primary care providers." So getting more and more cold. But this time, Cruella, again, is ignoring the letter and viciously ripping open the present, once again begging for a puppy. But again, it's just a piece of clothing. And she rips it, throws it on the ground, and storms out of the house. But right as she does, she sees all of the neighborhood kids are out playing in the snow, making snowmans, playing with puppies. And one legitimately says, "Wow, I'm so glad we all got puppies for Christmas."
Burn. And he didn't even know it.
Nope. They would regret joyously celebrating that, because Cruella obviously sees this and her face grows dark, and in like a smile that's like the Grinch's smile, we see her like run into the garage, and seconds later she rips out of the garage in like a motor scooter and plows into the group of kids and puppies and snowmen, sending them scattering, knocking down all the snowmen. So you were asking earlier, plowing into the carolers.
Yes.
She's
like, been there, done that.
And puppies. So maybe another crime, attempted murder.
She's like building quite a rap sheet from a young age.
Yes.
So also you said she's about like 10 or so here. This is 10 years after the first flashback.
I mean, this is definitely preteen. She's probably like 12 or 13.
Okay. But yes. Okay. Got it. But she's like no longer a toddler. Cool.
She's like a gangly, awkward teen at this point.
She has more of a conscience, I guess, is what I'm getting at.
Yes. And
she's just as, if not even more evil.
Yes, it was very deliberate. She didn't like run and scream at them. She went back inside, got the keys for the little moped.
This was premeditated assault. Attempted murder, perhaps even. Premeditated attempted murder.
Exactly. So modern Cruella feels bad for herself at this point, being like, it was such a hard Christmas. Instead of feeling bad for the kids and puppies she has tried to murder and probably traumatized.
Yeah.
Then Puppy Past is like yelling at her about this, being like, what about everyone else you just tried to kill? To which Cruella says, but you're my therapist. You're supposed to feel my pain. Which I thought was very funny.
Ma'am, I am a ghost dog.
I know, ma'am, I am a puppy.
Right.
So Puppy Past gives it one more try and is like, you kind of learn how to care about other people. Let's give this one a try. So this time Cruella is like maybe like 16 or 17. It's only a couple years later. And she's walking back home. It's yet again Christmas. She's passing every house, seeing, of course, everyone's homes are filled with loving families and Christmas trees and warm meals and dogs and all of that. She's getting angrier and angrier as she's walking. And as she gets to the front doorstep of her house, she sees not only two figures in the windows, but she hears a puppy bark. And so she starts crying because she realizes finally, like, her parents are actually home for Christmas and there's a puppy inside waiting for her. And so she busts in the door in tears of happiness. It's been basically literally her whole life without her parents there for Christmas. She finally gets the puppy, but she's met with the French nanny and two cardboard cutouts of her parents that her parents set, and a Dalmatian toy that the French nanny hands her as she pulls a voice recording that's attached to the cardboard cutouts of her parents that are basically saying, like, we're having a great time on the Dalmatian coast. Like, here's the puppy, we got you, to represent that we're on the Dalmatian coast.
Yeah.
And they call Cruella, they don't even call her by her name. They call her their tax exemption.
Holy jeez, it gets worse and worse every time.
Every year. Yes.
Oh my God.
So this fake out is the final straw for past Cruella, who just starts screaming and like pulling her hair. She takes the puppy toy and the cardboard cutouts and throws them into the fireplace, which immediately erupts with bigger flames. We do see her evilly like turn to the maid and start laughing. And we see the maid run out. And it like goes back to modern day Cruella, but like it's unclear if she tried to murder the maid and like burn the house down and throw the maid into the fire.
It sounds like it.
Assume yes. Yeah. I'm gonna assume a strong yes that was another, again, arson, successful arson probably, and attempted murder. If not, maybe
actual murder.
Yes. Because, you know, they're really rich. They may had good lawyers to be like, it was just a house fire. And
Cruella is lucky to be alive. She just escaped. It was horrible. The parents weren't even there.
Yes. I think she got out of this charge, essentially.
Yeah.
So Cruella is tearing up at watching this, and Puppy Past is like, we've made a breakthrough. And Cruella's like, it's from all the smoke. And Puppy Past is like, all right, well, your hour's up. I'm done with this shit. And Cruella's like, excuse me, it's only been 50 minutes. But Puppy Past is over it. And Cruella, we see back in bed, tossing and turning when suddenly laughter fills her bedroom. And this enormous giant ghost puppy who is like real chonky. He's one of my favorites from the original, Rolly, because he's always hungry and he's always like, Mama, I just need more food, which is basically one of my dogs. So I love him. Anyways, I want to note, he's like eating while he's laughing in the room, and he straight up like is drawn in this like series as like basically a pig. It's so cute. He's just chonky. He's got like the flat nose and like very pointy ears. So he's like a little puppy piglet, and it's just
I was gonna say they like a pig with a dog's face, but no, it sounds like straight up just a pig who then they painted with black and white spots, or like white with black like, spots. Yeah,
we're really driving the point home here. Anyways, so he is the puppy ghost of Christmas Present, and we'll be taking her to the shadows of this year. And Cruella's impatient. She's like, all right, let's get on with it. So Puppy Present takes her to the cute little ranch of Roger and Anita and the nanny, and where all the Dalmatians live. And Cruella's like, why am I going to these peasants' house? I don't care. But Rolly makes her look in the window where they're all exchanging presents on Christmas Eve. But every present, as they hand them to each other, is noted that it has to be returned because now they don't have income because Anita's been fired. So, you know, one by one, they're opening a present being like, I appreciate the thought. I'm so glad you kept the receipt. Of course, we'll return these. Because we have 101 mouths to feed. Also, it's a slight on Roger because he's like an artist. He's like a musician. And they're clearly being like, you don't make any money here.
Yeah. Clearly the woman is the bread earner in this family. Oh, Roger, your music, that's so cute. But buddy, we got bills to pay and mouths to feed. Yeah.
So again, it's a very loving, though. They're all very understanding of just like, this isn't your fault, Anita. Like, of course, like we'll do anything to keep this family together. We'll return all these presents. They're clearly like very heartbroken. Even the puppies, like, we're going to get treats and no longer can. And then these writers do something that was entirely uncalled for, because we pan over to the last gift. That would have been a little brace for Lucky, who we see whimpering and holding his little hurt paw because he can't put any pressure on it.
Aww.
And we learn that not only would this be a cast for his hurt paw, but now they can't afford the surgery. Baby puppy. And he's just like, and I almost fucking cried. It was not okay with me.
What the fuck, Disney? You're making this too much like A Christmas Carol. It's fine when it happens to Tiny Tim. No one gives a fuck. But a puppy? Come on.
It was uncalled for. I was upset. I cuddled my dogs a little closer and was like,
good.
Your surgery.
Your dogs have no idea what's going on, but they're like, I love this. Whatever is making mom so sad and emotional, keep it coming.
Yeah, let's keep the cuts going. And to this, Cruella is like, why is he limping? A little dramatic, don't you think? And Rolly is like, shame.
Okay, Cersei.
Yeah, it's very funny. But yeah, Cruella is like, okay, yeah, like this is over the top trying to get the point home. Like, this is tackily, like dramatic, to which Rolly glares and just says, it's Dickens, to like explain why it's so dramatic. But then Cruella goes, oh, Dickens, my derriere, which is very inappropriate.
Hello. Yeah, if you say that too quickly.
Basically that's just being like, well, fuck me in the ass.
Fuck me in the ass.
That is inappropriate, writers of this show.
But funny. All like nonetheless,
exactly. Again, like to the parents watching and like adults watching, a lot of bangers in this episode. So Cruella, of course, is not shaken by this at all, which just pisses Rolly off even more, just being like, can you just not care about yourself for 1 second here? Like, do you not see like their Christmas is ruined? This puppy can't get surgery. Like, what is wrong with you? And Cruella is just like, but they aren't me. So why should I care? Like, I don't understand what point you're trying to prove here.
Horrible person.
Yep. So Puppy Present just like shakes his head and is just like, fuck this shit. All right. Passing her off to the third ghost here. So again, we join Cruella in her bedroom. And this time she's being jolted awake by a bolt of lightning. And the room all around her gets darker and darker as the curtains start blowing wildly and more lightning comes. And with the next bolt of lightning, we fully see the robed, hooded figure with like the scythe or whatever, the Grim Reaper.
Oh shit, yeah.
As like a quick side note, it's like one of the animals in like
you can tell it's a dog.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like in a costume, but they only like show it revealed for a second. And the rest of the time it's like, it doesn't speak and it's fully like wearing like the full Grim Reaper outfit, being very scary.
So is it like standing on 2 legs when it takes the hood up, or is it still like, you can tell it's a dog just walking around? Like,
okay. So great question. Wasn't getting into it. This is some side character in the show who's a chicken who also has spots. They live on a ranch. I think it's just like one of the puppy's friends.
Gotcha.
So it walks on 2 legs because it's chicken, but also it's a ghost, so it's like human size. They can change sizes. Yes. So it looks like a human the whole time.
Cool.
With the hood up. Very scary.
Awesome.
Yes. So he takes her to the window. He's obviously the ghost of Christmas future. And they see, or it's the ghost of Christmas yet to come. We see a scene on Christmas Day in which there's an auction going on of all of Cruella's fine things, but they're all going for like pocket change. And we realize this is an estate sale. And Cruella's like, I don't understand. Like, why is there an estate sale of all my beautiful things happening? Like, what's going on? As if like she doesn't understand estate sales are for when people die and there's no one there to take care of all your shit. Yes. So the Grim Reaper's like, fine, okay. And he like wraps her in a shadow with his cloak and they reappear in a cemetery. But not just any cemetery. They reappear in a pet cemetery where the Grim Reaper shows her a snow-covered grave with her name on it, which is apparently the ultimate insult to Cruella, that she would be buried next to the decaying bodies and corpses of animals.
I mean, that's sick burn.
Yeah, it really is. Of just like, humans didn't want you here. We're gonna go bury you next to your worst enemy, the thing that you always tried to destroy.
This was the only plot that was available in the city, and you didn't have anyone looking over your estate to plan otherwise.
So
they just like dump her in. They don't even put her in a coffin. Just like, nah. Someone has to pay for the coffin.
Nope. No one was
settle
willing
her affairs. Write a will, you guys.
Sorry about it.
A lot about wills.
I know. Also, the fact that all of our episodes so far for the holidays have had to do with like dogs as the main characters. Just as, like I thought that during the last episode, I was like, classic.
You know, it's Christmas. They make everyone happy. It's that time of season. Yeah, who doesn't love a good heroic dog for the holidays?
Exactly. So, again, she's like very upset by this. And like, this is finally when it clicks that like, if she doesn't change her ways, she indeed will end up, quote, surrounded by decaying animal carcasses, unquote, and promises to change, but starts to freak out, realizing like to the Grim Reaper, like, oh God, is it too late? It's probably too late. Like, I can't make Christmas better. Like I've already set my fate in stone.
Yeah.
And then she suddenly wakes up on the lobby floor under the metal Christmas tree.
They just left me here.
She is like, yes, I'm just alone here. And it was all a concussion dream, she realizes.
Good / horrible.
Yeah, exactly.
And future state of mind.
Yes, exactly. But it did its job. It's Christmas morning. She realized she was fucking conked out all night. And so she only has one day to get everyone presents and to give, and turn her ways around. But everything is closed on fucking Christmas. So she has to make do with what she has in the office. And she goes on what I would only call a deranged giving rampage, in which she's probably concussed and like, I don't think really has like changed her ways fully. And so she, again, has to make do with what she has. So what does she have? An office. So she starts by leaning out an office window in this high rise where there are ice skaters below and starts yelling, "Merry Christmas," as she pushes photocopy machines out the windows onto the people below.
That's attempted murder.
People start screaming and scattering. It's like breaking the ice. And then she runs out and there's like the charity Santa who like cowers and she gives him a shitload of money, but then pauses and goes, "This is tax deductible, right?" And of course it is. So again, that's why I'm like, I don't think she's really changed her ways. And then she finds the unhoused Pumpkin Patch Pat and she gives him her fur coat, which is actually like, I guess, one of the only good things that she does in this giving
plot twist. PETA comes up as soon as she leaves and throws paint on him.
Exactly. Actually, or like full twist, someone had a camcorder there, like PETA had a camcorder to catch Cruella in a fur coat. He's actually an activist for PETA.
Yeah.
This whole time it was a setup and he is like, "I knew it." And
I knew this was real fur.
Exactly. So they caught her in this crime.
Yes.
So Pumpkin Patch Pat is doing fine.
Nice.
She goes
an undercover agent.
Yeah, exactly. She goes to the carolers and throws them off by singing her own horribly offbeat and out of tune Christmas songs. And when they all like just stop and stare at her, she's like, "You critics," and then goes to the next thing. She gets into the car, still smashes into snowmen that children have built. Oh my
gosh, it's a concussion. She can't see straight.
She's not doing well. She never does she make a full into a good person recovery? I argue no. She goes to Roger and Anita in the Dalmatians house and busts into the farmhouse where the whole family is like, again, very like sadly gathered, but like enjoying love and company, all like Whoville style from the
like
Grinch.
Poor people tend to do.
Like poor people with no presents. They're obviously shocked and terrified to see her. Like they're like
stumbling in. Like,
well, not only does she burst open, she looks crazy deranged, and she has a bag like over her shoulder, like Santa, which is probably they're like, "What is in that bag?"
She's come to steal the Dalmatians again.
That's I legit think what they first thought. Like the puppies all cower. And from this bag, she starts pulling out random ass office supplies and giving them to people, like staplers, tape, pencils, like file folders. To Anita especially, she gives like a little like nameplate on a desk.
Yeah.
She hands her one that says Susan, and so Anita's like, thank you. And Cruella goes, "Oh, I must have grabbed the wrong one, but it's okay. I'm firing Susan tomorrow." Oh, and you're rehired. You can have Susan's desk.
So keep the name tag anyway.
Yeah. And Anita's like, "Thank you. I'm sorry, we don't have any presents for you because you came over unannounced."
Yeah, and it's Christmas Day and you fired me.
Yes, why would you even be in my home ever? And Cruella is like, "Oh no, this is what I've always wanted. a Christmas with puppies. And she like gets down on the ground at all of the puppies, because this is probably fucking terrifying. Because from like, let's switch POV to the dogs. This deranged concussed lady who has tried to skin and murder them is now running at them, grabbing at them. So they all are like,
and they can probably sense that their owners are on edge too. So they're like taking in Anita and Roger's anxiety as well. Like,
oh yeah,
what the fuck is going on?
Oh God. And so she grabs one of the puppies to just give it a hug. And the show ends hilariously because Roger is like, no, not that one. That's Whizzer. And like the name depicts, he just pees all over her and the episode ends. With the Christmas spirit only somewhat filling the semi-still evil lady. And that's it. Sorry, I like steamrolled through it. This was like a long thing that I wrote. And so I was like, we can't stop to talk. This one's like 7 pages. We got to get through this.
Amazing. Well done. Great job. One, because I don't know if I do that 101 Dalmatians had a show. If I did know this, then I just never watched it. And even if I did watch it, I had no recollection of a Christmas Carol episode. So yes. Amazing. Exactly. I feel like also it's almost impossible. I'm glad that you added a Christmas Carol one in there, because it's like almost impossible to talk about Christmas stuff or holiday stuff without bringing up that classic tale. So
yes.
Excellent. Well done.
Thank you.
I wonder now, I want to watch the live action one that came out recently with Emma Stone. I'm like, maybe they tied some of those childhood flashbacks in.
Yeah. Who knows? They might have. I mean, they try to make, I think the whole point of like all of Disney's like live action villain movies is to like make them more sympathetic, which also is like
more complex
and like problematic maybe, but to be like, but it's okay that they turned to this path of terror. Like, they were sad.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. I haven't seen in really probably any of them. Whatever. Anyways. Yeah. There you have it. It was a great fun episode. It was a lot of commentary on capitalism, which was incredible, frankly.
Disney.
And with that, between now and next week, which I think might be a Christmas Eve airing episode.
It will be. Yes. And we'll have a special Christmas Eve themed episode as well.
Who should our viewers and friends and family and listeners tell about this podcast?
All the folks. This week, I think you should go to is it called a furrier? Is that what they're called? Farriers are for horses, but do furriers, are they the ones who actually like make fur stuff?
I don't
like know. Clothes. I should have looked it up in anticipation of you asking me this, but just find your local like tailor who also makes like luxurious fur coats and things, and go tell them. Be like, hey, I have nowhere near enough money to buy anything in this little boutique here. But a podcast that I listened to talked about Cruella de Vil, who you're kind of like, and then run the fuck out of there.
Yeah. And then
boom,
run.
Done.
Nice. I think after that, you should tell, whatever charity Santa you run into. It's cold. They're out there for long hours. They're doing the shitty job of having to ask people for donations, especially in this day and age where no one carries cash. They could use a little happiness in their life. So tell them they can listen to a little, have a little wireless headphone in while they ask for cash monies, and tell them to listen to the pod.
Yeah. And as Cruella taught us, it is indeed tax deductible.
Hey,
actually, I don't know that. That's We're joking. So I'm not actually sure. We're not your tax accountants, lawyers, or advisors. Anyway, until next time.
Never liable for anything. Yep. Until next time.
Bye. Thanks for tuning in to Saturday Morning Mysteries.
If you enjoyed this episode, please share, rate, review, leave us a like, and drop a comment. We post episodes every Saturday and bonus tune tangents whenever we feel like it. So please subscribe so you don't miss the shenanigans.
And if you want to follow us on YouTube, click the bell under the YouTube subscribe button to receive notifications when new videos are posted.
And if you want to subscribe to the podcast, we have no idea what you're listening to us on. So just hit the big subscribe button on whatever app you're using. We believe in you.
Give us a follow on Twitter and Instagram at SatmornMist, all the abreves, and let us know if you have any episode or show requests by emailing SaturdayMorningMysteries@gmail.com.
Thanks to Jenna Kendall for the logo design and to Ava Sakiki for the music used during this week's episode.
See y'all groovy kids next week on Saturday Morning Mysteries.